All right. Well, hey, Tabitha's got to take off, but we are not going to just see me and Simon here for the rest of the show. We've got a new person joining us. Tagging in is Jennifer David. Jennifer, welcome
Hello.
back to the show.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Simon. Long time no see, Simon.
It's been, what, days?
I think 5. Wait, was that Tuesday? Maybe 4 days. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're all blurring together these days. We have so much work to do.
All right. So, hey, welcome. And, you missed out on the Indiana section of our show this week, but we are going to go ahead and move over to talk about our national stories this week in a segment I like to call Who Cares? Because, these are U.S. and international stories, but we're going to look at them with a Hoosier lens. That should be our motivating question as we go through the rest of the show. Why do these stories matter to Hoosiers? Who cares? So, let us look at our top briefs, our quick headlines, and we begin our U.S. briefs aboard Air Force One, where President Trump drew outrage this week for responding to a question about the Epstein scandal from a Bloomberg reporter, Catherine Lucy, by retorting, quote, "Quiet, piggy." In economic news, the International Monetary Fund is seeing signs of a slowing U.S. economy, though a lack of data resulting from the recent government shutdown leaves the forecast less than certain. For example, the Labor Department announced Wednesday that it will not be releasing a full jobs report for October. Instead, we have to rely on other numbers to determine the health of the economy, and it is not good. An analysis from the Century Foundation, a liberal think tank, showed U.S. consumers are falling behind on utility bills, with past due balances up nearly 10%. Despite 40-plus years of free market deregulation that birthed these conditions, J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon whined about, quote, anti-business policies at the American Business Forum in Miami. The real problem in our economy right now is not regulation, but concentration, with nearly all U.S. GDP growth tied up in AI data center projects by just 7 companies. Despite warnings of the AI bubble's imminent popping, chipmaker NVIDIA, whose processing power is driving the AI boom, posted strong earnings on Wednesday, but that didn't help the stock market. Even with a positive Friday, major indexes closed the week in the red. Investors may be starting to feel the pain that the rest of us already know intimately. Also this week, we talked about redistricting here, but Trump's gambit to steal extra congressional seats ahead of next year's midterms may have taken an even greater blow when a federal judge blocked the new maps passed by Texas Republicans on Tuesday. U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Brown, a Trump appointee, wrote that the maps likely constituted an illegal race-based gerrymander. Of course, that's of no concern to right-wing crank Supreme Court Justice Sam Alito, who on Friday blocked the lower court ruling, putting the appeal on hold while SCOTUS considers the case. Before we move on, talk some of our other headlines, I'm going to pause there and get your reaction on the story of your choice from that handful. And let's welcome in Jennifer with her thoughts.
Well, the Supreme Court case, I wonder if they're just going to let time run out to where they, if they don't make a decision in enough time, then the maps, I believe, will just stay, the ones that are already drawn for Texas.
They're going to have to do something, though,
right.
because they can either block Texas and California, because California did this too, right?
Now,
yep. They went through voters, so that may be different. Whereas Texas, this was just the legislature, blatantly taking seats. Did Republicans wind up shooting themselves in the foot here? Is the Texas map going to get struck down and the California one allowed to stay? Are we looking at a massive blue wave potentially next year?
Potentially. I mean, if California goes through, my understanding is that if the Texas map gets blocked permanently, then California doesn't have to go through with their redistricting. I thought it was a threat, but
you're right. I believe it was contingent, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it contingent? Okay.
But at the ballot, they have the authority to do it, which is not what they got in Texas. in Texas, they jammed it through.
Mhm.
And if you listen to the exhaustive testimony that was against it, one of the things that one of the legislators came out and said is 28 of the districts in Texas had been gerrymandered to be at least 80% white. Now, that is the component that the challenge has been on, in the fact that it's racial profiling, or I mean, I call it electoral ethnic cleansing, because you're literally taking anybody that's not white and you're putting them gerrymandering so that their voice doesn't count. That's what the challenge is in Texas. That's what it's all about. If the Supreme Court come out in favor of the Texas maps, then we clearly know that the Supreme Court is, or this Supreme Court is all about white supremacy, and that's what they're championing. I do want to comment on the AI bubble just briefly, because Indiana's right in the middle of that. I think we've got more data centers going in than most other states, or at least planned. And one of the things that everybody looks at when you bring a business into Indiana is like, what's it going to bring into Indiana? You know, how many employees, how much revenue generation for the local community, and literally what's the velocity of money for that local community as a benefit of having that business there. Well, the data centers that are coming in are zero, and now we're looking at all the ramifications, and we're finding they're actually going to be negative, because you have the Fortune 500 companies, they're all using AI to figure out how to cut in their employee base, how to save money, because in capitalism, your labor is a liability, not an asset. So they're looking to cut as many jobs as possible. Now, the question we need to be asking once to anybody trying to put a data center in is, okay, we know there are no real jobs going to the local community. We know there's $4 to $8 billion of tax abatements just being given away, which is literally the taxpayer having to fund, that missing revenue. But in the long term scheme of things, now we know how many companies are actively looking to cut their workforce by AI. When this is like Monrovia is the nearest one for us and is the local fight. When that data center comes in, when it comes online, how many millions of jobs will that data center cost, not just Indiana, but the United States? Because that's what that data center is going to do. It's going to be used by corporations to cut the labor force. And that is what we need to be looking, and that's the accountability we need to be, the questions we need to be asking.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And that's leave it to you to be bringing that up. This is one of your things that you're really good at.
Yeah.
The technology part. But you're right. Not only are there not adding jobs, but they're taking jobs away, just not from Indiana, but the whole state. We've got one down here in southern Indiana. And I think people, especially when there's less money and so many things have been cut and all that COVID money is pretty much gone, they are realizing that that our taxes are all going up. And you have these huge corporations and you have the data centers that are, like you said, they're actually taking away jobs, not only giving them negative.
And right. And at some point in this space or in another space, I hope to have this discussion where, we can debate. AI taking all the jobs could be great if we could all just have extra leisure time and make love and make art and make music and not, do tedious work. But, I don't think that the ownership
is going to pay for it.
Go that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hard subject because we all use AI. If you use any technology, you use AI. It's got a long way to come, definitely, but
it does.